We're told from the earliest moments of our lives that boys will be boys and girls will be girls. The moment the doctor declares it's a girl, society expects and compels us to act like our assigned gender. Our gender is a sort of script. Girls are given purple ponies and dolls, whereas boys are given spaceships and trucks. Men are expected to act manly. They walk like men, they talk like men, and they certainly don't get caught up in anything girly. Whereas women have long hair, they wear makeup, they walk like women, and even sit like women. But even 100 years ago, it was common to see a woman with body hair or a boy wearing a dress. Society assumes that girls act like girls because of hormones or because their brains are just different. But these gender roles are, according to Caldwell, determined by society.
I think when you're talking about gender normative behaviour within society, I think that is a completely socially conditioned thing. It's certainly not the case that women's biology, for example, should automatically mean that they should be in any way second-class citizens within society, that they should behave in a particular way, that they should be more docile, that they should be more empathetic, that they should be more naturally caring of children, all the rest of the things than men, and vice versa. However, if you're talking about somebody's gender identity and why some people sometimes choose a gender identity that's different from their birth sex, then I think that there is an element of biology at play as well, although I think that society then has a profound influence on that biology.
Obviously, in the beginning, everyone has the whole denial kind of phase. I don't like to talk about family very much because I feel that, the last time I did that wasn't very good. But to kind of just touch upon it, at first they were not good about it at all. And then over the years, it's kind of been this up and down roller coaster of hey, things are actually going all right, to, oh, things are going terrible. And as for the people that definitely feel they are too afraid to come out full stop, I say that it's best to just hang in there and realize that one day there will be a time when you can be who you are. It might not be in the next few years, it might not even be for a while, but it's worth holding on just for that.
The number of people seeking gender identity treatment has risen dramatically in the UK, with some of the 14 clinics seeing spikes of several 100%, according to The Guardian. Referrals to Sheffield's Gender Identity Clinic went up from 8 in 1999 to 301 in 2015. Between April to December 2015, 969 under-18s in the UK were referred to the NHS with gender identity issues, including almost 200 aged 12 and under. 50 years ago, it was common for a woman's job to be a submissive homemaker. The 70s marked the beginning of the women's movement. Women were no longer the stereotypical homemaker, but were instead out burning bras and protesting inequality. One of the women's movement's primary goals was to invalidate gender roles, in the sense that women were secondary to men. The fact that bias exists is indisputable. Across all Fortune 500 companies, fewer than 5% of the CEOs are women. 5% of CEOs represent nearly 50% of the population. Transgender, bigender, agender, no other gender is represented at all. Gender roles influences in virtually every area of life, especially occupation.
So I remember an experience where I was playing a really early gig in my career, and the promoter came up to me at the end of the night and he said, in this really surprised voice, "Oh, girls are usually rubbish, but you're really confident." Historically, there have been so many women doing great things in music who just haven't been kind of talked about and publicised in the way that their male counterparts have, and have kind of found it more challenging because of their gender. Women singers, on the other hand, tend to be accepted. It's okay for us to kind of stand at the front and look pretty and make pretty sounds with our mouths, but yeah. I would really love to see more women instrumentalists getting the recognition they deserve. I'm a woman, but you call me a girl to make me smaller, safer, maybe. It's cold in here with grey reverberant walls, and you say you've never played with a girl, yet you're almost 30, by all accounts successful, and it's the 21st fucking century, so how did you come to live in a world so small? Your theory. Men and women can't be friends. Well, maybe you're content to aspire to ascend the piss-stained levels of this multi-story concrete hell, but if you ever want to get out of here, you're gonna have to trust me. because I'm the one with the keys. And having unpacked the gear, we're 2 inches higher than we should be, so you better get in the back and think heavy. Think heavy. Think solid as Palm Olive, Maureen Tucker, Patty Schemmel, in rejection of a sanitized and crucified fake feminine. Think dense as the driving bass of Rana Ross and Carol Kay, the assured pianism of Mary Lou Williams and Carla Bley, or the majesty of Mary Osborne playing jazz guitar with Billie Holiday, so hard to forget, yet written out of history. And you say chicks don't play guitar like it's some biological fucking mystery. We hammer home what Hendrix, Cream, Led Zeppelin and all those guys did. And yes, their work's important, but this narrative's one-sided. Now are you thinking heavy? Think. Behemoth, dustbin bloated, full of souls almost forgotten. The Harlem Playgirls, the Melodies, the Liverbirds, Elizabeth Cotton, alone perhaps in their struggles, but together they're colossal. From the international sweethearts of rhythm, Hazel Scott, Blanche Calloway, to Bertha, Girls' School, the Au Pairs, the Raincoats, and the Runaways, from the White Hot Rage, the X-Ray Specs, L7, and the Slits Expressed, to June Millington's music school for girls that teaches joyful fearlessness. So, while we're here, let's address your guitarist question. It appears we chicks lack skill at this, with 1 or 2 exceptions. They're Jennifer Batten, who played guitar with Michael Jackson, and all the others we've already mentioned. They were Mary Osborne, June Millington, and Sister Rosetta Tharpe, in case you weren't paying attention. Oh, and Bonnie Raitt, of course. And Wendy Melvoin, Orianthe, Nita Strauss, Chris Bonacci, Jen Kuhnemund, Michelle Meldrum, Emily Remler, Nancy Wilson. The Great Cat, Teresa Wayman, Juliana Hatfield, Kelly Johnson, Joan Jett, Poison Ivy, Canna, Marnie Stern, and every great musician you've decided not to learn from. So think heavy now, and heavier. Think real heavy for me, guys. Meanwhile, I'll practice my craft and seeing your world through brighter eyes. Got there in the end. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.